runtime backups, meaning you can actually take one system. In this case, we'll remove this line just to show conceptually what we're doing here. Is you can have one system actually come over, generate a backup of itself, and then have a separate system actually take all that data as these systems are running. Meaning you never have to power these. You never have to stop the processes from running or anything like this. But literally, you run the backup routine as your system's running, and then send that data over to a second server. That second server will take that data and basically run with it. It'll essentially recreate everything you had on your first system. So that's also something you can do for failover's sake, and have that process run daily if you want, or even more frequently if needed. It does incremental backups, so meaning if you there's not been too much information change on your primary server, it'll back up just what's needed, let's say, for example, every hour to your second system. And as you come along, you may have, let's say you're running a redundant server, meaning just backing up to a daily, and then having 4 nodes to help out that main server to offload processes to. So I was just talking about even 3 to 5 employees. I'm sure there's not one company out there that doesn't plan to expand. So what this means is, as you grow with more employees, also if you start offering web-based services or internet services to customers through your system, you can easily expand. So as your customer base expands and your servers require more of you, you just tack on more, and you do all this runtime with 0 downtime. There's absolutely no downtime with this system. Second thing here is establishing priority for critical applications. So this has always been possible even with single operating system, but the flexibility that's given by having a virtual system setup allows you to run almost, I would not say that there's not one company out there that could use this. There's not one that would not have use for it. Almost every company can take their existing systems, move them over to a virtual system base, and benefit from it somehow. I've seen companies with anywhere from 5 to 7 different systems, and they were completely unsafe in that there was no redundancy. So meaning one of their servers went down, that meant their phone system went out. Their email server goes down, no redundancy with that, boom, they're out of, their email is out. And I've seen companies lose thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm sure some have lost millions just due to the fact that they haven't had redundancy. And redundancy means not just being safe from not having backups, but also from losing the service facility of a server. Because remember, when you're doing redundancy with this, you have one system literally essentially dumping its content to another, and that system almost immediately taking that content and turning it into a running system. So if this first system has hardware failure, you simply switch the network cable over to the second one, and perhaps a quick reconfiguration of IP addresses, or have your own setup ready so that it's just ready to switch over with your switch, or however you may have it your network set up. But then essentially you're up and running. Sometimes almost, if you set it up correctly, it could be pretty much instantaneously. When it is the case that you experience hardware failure. Okay, so how does this pan out in the actual work environment? Well, you have establishment for the priority of processes, and this is important in that when you have applications that need to have priority over others. For example, if you're running voice applications, you want to make sure that your system is prioritizing that over other, not so time critical processes. For example, if you have a payment gateway, if you have a voice over IP application, if you do media streaming, you want to make sure that all these processes are given priority over. Well, that's something that Proxmox has as a built-in capability. And on top of that, you have the additional point that you can actually assign a higher priority to any given operating system. For example, you may have let's say you have 3 operating systems installed on one server, and one operating system houses all of your media streaming. For example, Asterisk is a voice over IP system. It doesn't actually handle just voice, it also handles video streaming. So for example, in that case, you may want to take that operating system, give it greater processor points, so to speak. A lot of these work on a point system. So you would basically assign it the highest number of points in regards for processor usage. And also that operating system itself, you can actually issue commands inside of the hardware system, the hardware node, and essentially tell it that you want that particular operating system to have certain privileges for speed's sake or processor priority. And let's say on a second system, let's say you're running email. So email itself is not meant to be an instantaneous sort of delivery system. So maybe what you do on your second operating system, you assign it a lower priority. So essentially what you're doing is you're always having your time critical processes being handled first. That means no choppy video, no choppy audio, and you don't miss payments because your customers have been waiting there for their payments to be processed through. And it puts you basically in control. So, and that means money. So again, here are some examples in regards to prioritizing processes overall. So what happens is, let's say, for example, you're running a voice over IP, PBX, which means essentially a phone system that's voice over internet based. You could set that to have priority and pretty much have it undisturbed. There's plenty of systems that have been running on this basis for some time now without flaw. I personally run and configure on a daily basis about 5 to 6 voice over internet phone systems, and I've not had one issue. In fact, I find that Asterisk and voice over internet applications run better on virtual systems just due to the ability to the way that they get prioritized than on just a straight one single operating system on a single system, a non-virtual system. And again, media processing. If you're delivering video content, you want to give your customer what they want. So most often when people are streaming video, they don't want to see choppy pictures. And CRM sometimes needs to be prioritized. Anything that has to do with servicing customers, and you can also do that on there. And then customer-facing web applications, so anything having to do with delivery to your clients. And again, having this kind of system gives you the opportunity to essentially bring together your various operating systems that you might have in your office, put it on a single system, and then also open up to you redundancy again, because then you can be backing up one system onto another. And that gives you hardware failover or hardware failsafe. It gives you a hardware failsafe, so that way if your first piece goes out, you still have your second. And you'll have very little loss of data if you have your incremental backup set up properly. And you're also setting yourself up again for just great expansion, because again, when you are servicing more people, you may need more power, and you can then just easily tack on additional what are called these nodes to assist your server in accomplishing its tasks. Great, thank you very much, and I'll see you